All right, hey guys, what's going on? So in the video today, I'm really excited because I'm going to be talking about these Grant Stone boots here. These are my new diesel boots in Saddle Tan Veg Badalassi leather. I didn't realize that this was a Badalassi leather, and actually I didn't know really anything about Badalassi vegetable tan leather until my friend Jake at Almost Vintage Style. He did a video comparing veg tan leathers to Chrome Excel. And up till that point, I hadn't heard a differing opinion about Chrome Excel. You know, most people love Chrome Excel. And he's not the biggest fan of Chrome Excel. What's great about Jake is he's very intellectual. He's got a very in-depth perspective on these different leathers and on different boots and things. And you know, a lot of people, they see him as sort of a controversial type guy, but I actually really enjoy hearing his take on things because he's very objective, he's very detail-oriented, he's incredibly meticulous with his approach to analyzing leather, to analyzing boot builds and things like this. And so yeah, he did a long video talking about why he prefers vegetable tan leather to chrome tan leather. And to be honest, at the time, I'm a noob, like, I'm still a noob, like don't look at me like I'm some expert, because I'm not. At the time, I didn't really know the difference between chrome tanned and vegetable tan leather, but through their tanning process, this was something that I just never knew. Through the tanning process, you make that material a lot stronger. You increase its tensile strength, or its tensillary strength, however you say. You increase its resiliency, you increase its ability to withstand the elements and things like that. So Jake went and he talked in depth about how much he actually loves this particular vegetable tan leather it's a tannery in Italy. It's called Badalassi Carlo Tannery. And I had actually never heard of them. I didn't realize that Grant Stone was running their diesel boot in a leather from Badalassi. And in my interview with Wyatt, I actually brought that up. I'm like, man, I didn't really know much about Badalassi leather. You know, I hear nothing but praise about Horween leathers, but this Badalassi leather, this was a first heard for me. So I actually had those Grant Stone derbies before I even realized that the leather was from Badalassi Carlo, oddly enough. I just love the look of them so much that I bought them about a year and a half ago. So, and that's why I kind of wanted to jump on these Grant Stone diesels in Badalassi Saddle Tan. And so I'm super happy I got them, and I actually had Cobbler Sonny throw on the Triumph toe taps there because this is an all leather sole, and I really have grown to love the leather sole. It's, in my opinion, the most comfortable sole, and it breathes much better than rubber ever can. In my opinion, it gives the overall fit and feel lifetime of the boot a much more natural feel, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I don't feel like I've got something industrial on my foot. I feel like I've got a second skin on my foot, if that makes any sense at all. Yeah, so let me start out by reading a little bit about this particular makeup. So this is the diesel boot. Diesel reminds us of something which may not be flashy, but an object which is built for strength and longevity. This is our rendition of the basic plain toe boot pattern made with proven leather uppers, lining, insole, and outsole. The kicker is the Leo last being utilized on a boot pattern which offers exceptional support and comfort. The saddle tan leather is one of our favorites. This vegetable tanned article is tanned in one of Italy's boutique tanneries which specializes in the process. The leather is placed in a botale, which is a large barrel that rotates, allowing the organic tanning substances to stay in contact with the article. A complete cycle may take 30 to 35 days. This leather is tough. It has the scent of an old saddle room and the squeak of your favorite tooling leather. The leather can have prominent vamp breaks and a variation of colors. Since this is a very light colored vegetable tan article, there may be areas on the boot which have darker hues. And that's part of what I love about it. I love a boot that shows its wear over time. So actually, one thing that I really love about the Badalassi, and my derbies have shown this, I've worn my derbies through thick and thin, I've worn them in the rain and stuff, and they actually did form some water spots, similar to shell. Shell also, depending on the particular batch and the particular piece of leather that you have, which is unique to, you know, that's just one of those variables that you can never predict. But some shell cordovans, they form water spots because shell cordovan doesn't actually hold dye very well. Well, it also seems to be the case. I wore my shoes in the rain and they sort of showed some water spots. Now, me being a purist and a leather, I'd say a traditionalist, I like that. I'm not trying to keep my leather in perfect condition. I love when the leather tells a story. Also, I actually wore these boots in the rain and they don't show any water spots at all. So that just... You got me a dessert?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I'm scared. What's this? Oh my god. Oh my god. That doesn't look like a very good dessert. I've gotten used to having my boot reviews bombed these days, so that's no longer a surprise, and I hope that you guys have learned to come to expect episodes like that to happen. She now plans these sorts of things ahead of time as I'm filming. It's not something that I can prevent, is what I'm getting at. So anyways, so I wore these in the rain once, and they didn't actually form any water spots. And I've actually been trying to wear these pretty hard since I got these. I got these about 2-3 weeks ago. And I've been trying to wear them every few days, just because first off, I love them. They're so comfortable. The Badalassi Saddle Tan offers a completely different feel than Chrome XL does. Chrome XL, you know, it molds to your foot very well and it stretches out very well. Whereas this actually is very resilient, very hardy. It doesn't really stretch. It really holds its shape, similar to the Alden 405 Indie Boot. If you love that about the 405 Indie Boot in tan calfskin, then you owe yourself a pair of these, because this would just basically be the plain toe version of that. Yeah, this is just overall a very beautiful leather, and I was so impressed with Badalassi. After getting the derbies, and now that I have the boots, not to mention I did put in an order for another Aero leather jacket, which I did an unboxing video of recently. It just got in. It's the most beautiful jacket I own now. It's in a leather called Russet Badalassi. I was talking to Wyatt about this Badalassi leather, and he said when these boots arrive, make sure to take note of the aroma, because it's one of the best smelling leathers he's ever smelled. And now I thought Chrome XL and Shell Cordovan had an amazing smell, but this smells completely different, but it smells insanely good. It's just a completely different thing altogether. I can't even compare it to anything from Horween really, but this Badalassi leather, it smells so good. And in fact, the jacket that I have, every time I wear it, I'm just surrounded in an ambiance of Badalassi leather smell. It smells so damn good. So if you haven't tried out Badalassi yet, I would highly recommend it. It is an incredible leather. And yeah, Wyatt talked about it. Wyatt backed it up, and he's 100% right. And yes, I love these boots. These might be my favorite diesels right now. They're so rich in appearance, and the vamp break is really nice compared to like Shell forms rolls on the vamp. Chrome XL forms creasing. This also forms creasing, but it's different compared to Chrome XL. But Chrome XL also is similar to Shell in a way that I would say that there's almost a translucence about it, that you can kind of see into the chrome tanned leather from Horween, whereas this you can't. This is like what you see on the surface. It shows all of its wear on the surface. If that makes sense. It really shows the breaking and the scuffing really well, and as far as I can tell, that scuffing doesn't really necessarily go away like it does with Chrome XL. Chrome XL, the scuffs, since it's an aniline pull-up leather, the scuffs go away pretty easy, but with this it doesn't. So this really shows every scar and abrasion that it takes on along the way, unless you condition it and buff it out and stuff. But it shows its wear easier, which I really like. I think that this Badalassi leather is definitely, from a collector standpoint, from an enthusiast standpoint, definitely worth your time. If you've got like a big rotation of Horween leathers and different boots from, you know, Alden and VIBERG and things like that, I would say you owe it to yourself to give something from Badalassi Carlo a try. And yeah, Grant Stone, truly, they just nailed it with the plain toe. You can't go wrong with plain toe. That's another thing. I've really come to love plain toe boots so much. I used to think that they were boring. No, they're not boring. Plain toe boots, especially in a really amazing leather like this, they look so good, and they look amazing. What I love about it is you can tell what they look like from a distance. If it's quality, you can see these boots and you can see, it's almost like they become emblematic of themselves, if that makes sense. Or it's almost like they announce themselves from afar. I feel like, yeah, it's cool to look at these up close, but also from a distance, these look really cool. I just love the plain toe boot. I've really come to love it because it allows the leather to speak for itself uninterrupted, you know, by too much design, by too much detailing. Yeah, I've come to really just appreciate plain toe boots. I hope I'm not rambling on. Initially, I was in love with the indie boot with the mock toe stitching on the vamp. And then cap toe boots I always found very appealing, but there's just something outstanding about a plain toe boot. It just really allows the leather to express itself, and it allows you to look at the boot and appreciate the entirety of the boot free of distraction, if that makes any sense. And yeah, again, you know, I've talked about this with Grant Stone. The 360-degree Goodyear welt is just flawless. I'm not looking for flawless. I'm not asking for flawless. But this is pretty much damn near flawless. It's got that beautiful, and I'm so partial to those storm welts. It's got that beautiful storm welt around the rim of the welt. All stacked leather sole, just a killer boot. Oh, I love everything about it. So anyways, I hope I did these boots justice. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm on Instagram. You can follow me there. My username is AeroSurferLV. And anyways, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see y'all in my next video. The man, the myth, the legend, Jake at Almost Vintage Style is here, and he is going to join me and have a talk about some Badalassi leather. I'm really excited to have you on because, first off, let me say that, you know, I've been following you for a while. You're a legend in the boot leather community, in the leather jacket community, and you have some of the best, in my opinion, some of the best and most insightful observations of any of us out there. Like, you really pushed me to grow a lot, I would say, over the years. And especially, you did a video on Chrome Excel and you said, is it really that great? And you analyzed it and you compared it to the Badalassi leathers. And at the time I was like, wait a second, I love Chrome Excel, but this is good because, like, I like to be challenged in certain ways. And as much as I love Chrome Excel, I like to hear when somebody thinks something else is better. And that's what you brought to the table. Was you were talking about veg tan, and particular Badalassi leather is one of your favorites. And at the time, I didn't even realize, but I have these Grant Stone derbies here in saddle tan Badalassi. I never knew that they were from Badalassi, but they really are taking on a very cool character as time goes on. A really cool patina, a lot of cool breaks along the vamp there. It's just one of the most hardy, resilient leathers I have. It's next to shell in terms of, like, resiliency. It doesn't stretch at all. It's very tight grain. It's very beautiful. So I figured, why not, since I'm doing this video on these Grant Stone diesels in saddle tan Badalassi, it is my honor and pleasure to welcome on Jake, Almost Vintage Style, to offer his 2 cents on this leather. So, Jake,
well, thanks. I appreciate the kind words for sure. I mean, I've been checking out your videos recently on YouTube and enjoying them, as well as Vintage Futures videos as well. So I've been watching some more of your guys' stuff, and well, I think we're going to do another video together soon. So yeah. I have some insight into how you both have caused me to grow as well in return. So I want to talk about that, but we'll talk about that in the future because I think that'll be a good conversation.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I do love Badalassi, so I appreciate, you having me on for that reason. And actually, interesting, you're wearing an Aero jacket, are you not right now?
Yes, I am, sir.
And so, interesting thing about Aero also offers Badalassi on their jackets right now. The funny thing you mentioned about how resilient it is on the boots is on jackets. Badalassi is it's relatively a little bit spongier and stretchier than, like, my Shinky, which is what I'm wearing right now. This is the Freewheelers jacket. So this is Shinky. In comparison, it's a little bit stretchier. Dale, do you have a lot of horsehide boots? I know you got a lot of boots, but
yeah,
you don't have a lot of. I know you have shell for sure, and you got a ton of different, like, Truman leathers and stuff. But do you have a lot of? What horsehide do you have?
Yeah, I have horsehide. I have 4 pairs of Trumans that are horse rump specifically.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, all from the Merriam Tannery. I have Regine, I have Navy, I have Color 85, which is green, and then I have Tuscanello horse rump as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and I remember the Color 85s. That's a really cool color. Actually, kind of looks similar to the shirt I'm wearing. In fact.
Yeah, it does.
At least in this lighting, I think.
Yeah, that's a bad shirt.
In your experience so far, because I have 2 pairs of Mariam boots as well, Mariam horse rump as well. My Flame Pandas and my Honor Hoots. So do you find that your Badalassi boots are more stiff and resilient than your Mariam pairs as well? Or do you find it's different, or do you find it's similar?
I've found that the Badalassi boots are more resilient than the Mariam Tannery. I've actually found the Mariam Tannery's horse rump to be kind of it feels closer to me like a Chrome XL. Like it is just a little stretchy, I think, compared to the Badalassi. There's no stretch. I cannot stretch this at all. And the other thing, I don't know if you saw my video on my color 85, the green ones, they lost their pigmentation very easily. I applied some Saphir conditioning cream to them, and I didn't like the look of it, so I washed it off. And when I washed that the Saphir off, it took a lot of the original pigment with it, just stripped it right out. And
Oh,
yeah, so I had to re-dye them. It was a whole process, but
oof. That actually sounds
yeah.
kind of annoying. I mean, right now, I guess I'm lucky because the two I have are black and like natural, basically, so I don't have to worry about that at least
Right,
with
right.
mine. But yeah, that would be an issue. So yeah, like I have one pair of Badalassi boots right now, and those are of course my favorite boots, my White Cloud boots, obviously.
Those are world famous. That your
Yeah, these
pair,
are. I mean,
that
I'll
pair
still
is
say it. He makes the best boots in the world that you can possibly buy. So,
amazing.
and I do actually have a pair of shell coming in. That's what he's making for me next. So,
Oh no, nice.
these interestingly here's the thing, like it can leather from each tannery does not always mean it's going to be exactly the same for each pair of boots or each like the tannery isn't like a universal thing, like means every type of every leather from every tannery is going to be exactly the same, right? Like this is relatively stiff and resilient for cowhide in my opinion, but compared to other leathers I have, I would not, at least on my White Clouds, it's not as stiff and resilient as the way you seem to be describing, and even as much as they look that I can see right there, right?
Yeah.
Like actually, for example, this is cowhide, and this is like a vegetable tan Japanese cowhide on my clinch engineers, and these are stiffer to me by a little bit than these are, right? But I will also agree with you that the Mariam is not as stiff as other horse rump that I've felt either. Like it definitely is more pliable. It's definitely more pliable compared to other horse hides or horse rump that I have. So yeah, I'll agree with you on that because I've had two Badalassi leather jackets as well, and those are relatively more pliable than at least like the Shinky is. But it's still stiffer than like a Chrome XL would normally be. But see, then again, also you get into like, well, Chrome XL on a jacket is completely different than Chrome XL on boots, right?
100%.
And I think you've experienced both, have you not?
Yeah, 100%. Oh my God. That jacket that I have in natural Chrome XL, that thing, I've worn it probably 25 times so far. It is still stiff as a rock. It is like, I have to get ready to put that thing on. Like I have to make sure like,
yeah,
like that I'm man enough that day to put that thing on because it beats me to a pulp. Like it is not comfortable yet. It's a far way from being comfortable. It is stiff. It is thick. Oh God, it's very like I love it. I love the smell of it especially. But yeah, man, that thing it's gonna be a while till it's mine. It's not mine yet.
Yeah, no, exactly, right. And I think that's the same thing with like the Badalassi because in my experience, like the boot leather is stiffer and more resilient than the jacket leather is. Not that the jacket leather is like flimsy or like super spongy like a deer skin would be, but it feels like it's more pliable in the jackets than it does for the boots, which is the opposite of Chrome XL, which feels more pliable in boots because they maybe probably just because they're using something different, and the thickness of Chrome XL in jackets is kind of famous as well. So that also, all of that makes a difference, right?
Yes.
But in terms of just the general characteristics on mine, I mean, I'll try, maybe I'll send you some pictures or something too, so you can post them up here in the video, just so you can see how much they've aged. They've changed color a lot. I mean, they're much more of a yellow sort of tan color. And now I would say they're much more of a they're very orange now. I don't know if that's coming across here in my, Zoom video, but they're very, very like a rich burnt orange now. So, and if you see pictures online, you can see they get even darker. I mean, I'm not saying it's the same color, but what I notice is the Grant Stone boots and shoes that are Badalassi do seem to be a similar color at least. This is Cognac Badalassi Minerva. So it's probably very similar at least, and I'm guessing that means it will probably age fairly similarly in that it will get more and more orange. The color will get even more rich and like more saturated looking, I guess. Like that's what happened with mine. Is that's what happened with your shoes so far at least too?
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Actually, they started out, that it's like a nice real vibrant orange. And now they're, like you said, they're getting saturated. And actually, I noticed that on these derbies particularly, and I could guarantee my camera's not going to capture this on my crappy camera, but yeah, it's got some water spots in here. Like you can see that the pigment, the dyes are shifting around a little bit. So I agree with you completely. Like the patina Pat and Journey is going to be astounding to say the least. Like I've only had these a year and a half. I haven't put them through as much wear as you have with your white clouds there. But yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of the same pigments that are in this makeup and the saddle tan it's probably pretty comparable to what you have there, I would say.
Yeah, because
So
I've seen the pictures too, and I've seen people like post like their actual photos. I've seen the official photos from Grant Stone. It does seem at least to be a similar, very very similar color. One of my favorite like leather colors. I love those like golden brown tanish, like rich tans, like because like there's like dull tan, and then there's like the really rich, very yellowy, then like very orangey kind of, and those are like usually my favorite leathers. Those very rich, very saturated. Like if you like, if you anybody like works on Lightroom or anything like that, photo editing, like you up the saturation. That's the kind of stuff I like. Is like the really really saturated color like leathers. And that's one of the things that I love about this one so much is that
yeah.
like I think if you like natural leathers, like try something like this because it's not actually a natural leather, right? It is dyed, but it does still age very extremely, not as much as a natural leather, but it will get that. It's so nice and saturated. It's a nice alternative to that, I guess is what I'm saying. Like if you've already had a natural leather, or if you've had like natural Chrome Excel or something like that, I urge you to try something different like this just because it's so, as I said, like the depth of color is really nice. It's very, very rich. The grain break is really nice, as you mentioned as well. I don't know if you can pick that up, but like,
Oh yeah, I see it.
the grain, and the grain break is very nice without it actually being loose grain, if that makes sense. Strikes that balance very nicely, being like pleasant but noticeable, I guess, without like, I mean, obviously you wouldn't want this in like a pair of dress shoes, right? You would want to avoid this. You'd want to put shoe trees and avoid it. But otherwise, for us, people who want our boots to age and we want them to, then I think it looks really nice. In the color it ends up is also kind of similar if you like Horween's like natural Dublin or natural Essex, both of those, because I was watching Dave's video on his VIBERGs, and that rich orange color is again kind of similar to how these end up as well. I'm not sure of like the difference in like the temper and everything of the leather because unfortunately I don't have any Horween Essex or Dublin yet, even though those are the leathers I like a lot from Horween.
Yeah.
But if you like that, again, the Grant Stone, if you're looking like Grant Stone and you want something similar, this would end up being probably your best option would be the Badalassi, because it does get that kind of rich orangey color. This one will be darker probably a little bit. Mine continues to get darker, and if you look up pictures of like the old Lofgren engineers that used to come in Cognac Badalassi, it's the same leather as this.
Oh,
There's
really?
some pictures of those online that you can see some really dark. They keep getting darker and darker as well. If you're used to like Chrome Excel or something like that, this will be stiffer for sure. I mean, it's hard for me to remember too as well because I've had these for so long now and I've worn them so much that Goto-san does such an amazing job. Like I didn't really feel like there was that much of a break-in with these, honestly.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah, these are the boots that like are the most comfortable for me personally and have conformed the most to my feet because of the insole leather. He also uses Badalassi in the insole.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah.
That's going to the next level there.
Yeah, and he has like custom like his like leather shank. When he uses a leather, he'll like do like, well, these I think have a steel shank, but he also makes a version with like his insoles that he sells like have like a custom molded leather shank too as well. That also I don't know. He does all this like, remember, this is a dude who makes his own thread when he does like the hand welting and the hand outsole stitching. He makes his own thread from scratch. So all the stuff that he does is wild. So that's why these have been the most comfortable for me. But the leather, at least for me, has not been like, it wasn't a major issue in terms of like break-in or anything like that. It's not going to be as like stretchy or soft or easy to adapt to as Chrome Excel is. I will definitely say that. Or some other Chrome Tan leathers, right?
Yeah.
But it was more comfortable and easier break-in than like my Red Wing mock toes.
Okay,
Which
right.
because the Red Wing mock toes, like, I mean, they're chrome tan, so you'd think they'd be softer, but the ankle area on those was very stiff when I got those first. And same thing with like my Flame Pandas were stiffer in the ankle as well. My clinch, I mean, these clinch engineers right here, these things gave me, they cut into my shins and I was bleeding all day the first day I wore those.
Oh my God.
Well, that was also because I was an idiot and I wore them out of the store in Tokyo when I picked them up. So I got to pick them up in Tokyo and then I wore them all day the next day for like 11, 12 hours.
Oh my God, really?
Engineer boots that I hadn't broken in yet. So I was kind of an idiot. I was just so excited to wear them that I had just picked them up from Brass. I was like, I'm going around, shopping to Real McCoy's and Desolation Row for freewheelers. I'm going to wear my new clinch boots. And then my ankles are bleeding and I had to put bandanas in my boots to try to protect my.
That's amazing though. That is a rite of passage. I got to give you a pat on the back for that one. That's cutting your teeth. That's
cutting my shins, literally. Yeah,
literally cutting your shins.
I think Badalassi is, in my opinion, it's the most beautiful cowhide leather I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Just because, like I said, it's not the grain break that starts to develop as you get it is really nice. It's very, very smooth at first, very tight grain initially, and the grain break is nice. Like I said, if you want a leather that stays completely smooth, though, don't go with that. I would say because you will get grain break. It's not loose grain. It's to me, it's aesthetically pleasing. I know what loose grain looks like. It's not that. Right. But if you want something that stays smooth, then you would want something like a calf skin or Chrome Excel. Some Chrome Excel, that's the problem. But then you get the Chrome Excel lottery, right? Where some of them stay smooth, some of them don't, right? My Lofgren boots, they have Chrome Excel, and they have actually stayed relatively smooth and tight.
Oh, wow.
Not as much as, and these are old. These are my oldest boots. So these are the ones I've had the longest. So I mean, you can see a little bit going on here, and this is made worse by the wax polish I put on, so it will be more noticeable. So it's not as grainy as it looks, but these have stayed pretty smooth over, what is it, like 6 years now? And I've had them for at least 6 years now.
Wow.
And they've stayed pretty smooth. But then again, you're playing the lottery there. You want something really to stay smooth, and you want to go with something like calfskin, probably. They will start to, like, I mean, you can see, I don't know if you can see it here, but like you can see they're graining. Like the grain break is definitely coming in the areas where they start to crease. I think it looks great. I think it's a very nice, very beautiful grain. It's not loose grain. Yeah, it looks very similar on yours as well. Yeah.
Yeah, very similar, especially like right around here. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it because of my crap lighting, but
yeah, no, I can see it's in the same part of the upper as mine, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, all along here in the quarter. Yeah, I think it's beautiful. Like you said, it's not loose. It's like a tight break, Yeah,
it's a tight grain break. It's just something you need to be, for people looking at it. If you see that they're smooth at first, you want to be aware of the fact that it's not going to stay that way in every part of the boot, right? I think that's something that is, I like it about this leather, but something you're going to want to notice, right? Because it will change.
That's definitely something to know. And I hope, because I know you preach this as well. I like to watch my stuff change. I like to watch it patina. I like it to tell a story. I do not want to keep it perfect. Every time I scrape my boots on a sidewalk, I'm actually excited because they're going to look better, especially, when I post on Instagram.
Oh no, same thing for me. I mean, if you wear these in the rain, the water drops will be there. They'll go away. Like they'll mostly go away. And as you continue to condition them and they get darker, then it will be less and less noticeable each time. Again, it's not like a big problem, but you will like for example, I did wore these yesterday, and I did get a water spot on them that stayed for a few hours, but now I think it's still there right here, but it's mostly gone. It's not like, I mean, I'll wear them in the rain. Like it really, again, same thing as I'm the same as you. Like I want it to age and tell a story and everything, so I really don't mind. And you can see like little like nicks and scratches, like this one right here.
Oh, cool.
For a while now, and it's not going away. But it looks nice. It's a tough enough leather that it's not going to like. I don't think to me it doesn't scratch super easily. It's not like Chrome XL in that way. You will get some like any sort of like mark or anything that's there will be noticeable, but I do think it looks really great on these boots. It usually ends up just becoming like a slightly darker orange. The rest of the boot might catch up. You know what I mean? That's kind of how it goes. So
Right, right. Yeah, actually, you just made me realize one thing on these. The ankle here, back here, is darkening up some.
Mhm.
I don't know if you can see that. And then also, I do have a scrape across the front. I don't know if you can see it. It's right here. I don't know if that's.
Oh, I can see where it starts. I can see like a initial mark. I don't think I can see the rest of it. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, I got
Okay,
it.
yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to rotate it so you could
Yeah.
if you catch it. But yeah, it's like I don't know what I scraped it against, but yeah, it just darkened it up a little bit, just a little bit though, not much. But yeah, like you said, it looks good. Like it doesn't look out of place. It just
Yeah.
looks cooler as time goes on. And I really like your observation that you made with like Chrome Excel in the boot, the leather's soft. In the jackets, it's stiff as hell. And it's the opposite for the Badalassi. Like these are stiff and resilient, whereas this jacket is like so soft. I don't think I'd quite call it spongy, but like, oh my god, like I don't know if you can see the
Oh,
roll.
is that Badalassi that you have?
Yeah, yeah,
I
it's
thought it was. It looked like I was like because the
yeah,
only other I know my leathers well enough to know it's like well that's definitely not Chrome Excel,
right,
and I know what Arrow's Vicenza looks like, and I was like that looks a
right.
lot richer and deeper of a color and shinier than Vicenza looks. I was like that must be Badalassi that he's wearing.
Yes, yes, it is. Yeah, it's Russet Badalassi. This is actually it's called the Hooch Holler model in Russet Badalassi, and I owe this jacket to you, sir, because if you hadn't turned me on to Badalassi, I would have stuck with just going Chrome Excel. Not that Chrome Excel is bad, but there's more interesting stuff out there, like you
Mhm.
said, and yeah, you opened my eyes to a new perspective, I would say, because the Chrome Excel from Horween, it's similar to Shell in that the shell you could almost see into it, like there's almost a translucence about it, and
Mhm.
and I think Horween's Chrome Excel is maybe like that as well to a certain degree, not quite all the way, but like the Color 8 shell, like how it, depending on the light, you could almost see like deeper into it. I
Mhm.
think some of the brown Chrome Excel is like that, its own unique characteristic, but I would say that stuff like this, like the vegetable tan, like they show all their character on the surface, and that's part of what
Mhm.
I find appealing about it actually, is it's like there's nothing that it conceals. Like it's going to show you more over time as you wear it, but you see the whole story right there on the surface. You don't have to peer too much into it like you do with Shell Cordovan, for example. I think Chrome Excel, like I said, to a certain extent is like that as well. Maybe it's got like 10% of the translucence of Shell, but I mean that's splitting hairs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I definitely have to thank you for like opening my eyes to the wonders of Badalassi, because it is amazing and it smells amazing too. Like it's,
Doesn't it?
oh god, yes.
I mean, so you like it so far, right? Like I mean, I love it as a jacket leather. Both jackets I've gotten with it have not worked out for me sizing wise, sadly. One
Oh,
day I'll get one that actually works right. And it's funny you picked the Hooch Hauler because that's my favorite Arrow model is
yeah.
actually
Oh
the Hooch
really?
Hauler.
That's awesome.
I really love cross zips that are not motorcycle jackets, right? And
Gotcha.
that's what the Hooch Hauler is. Like it's a
Right.
cross zip technically, like it's a double, it's like not double breasted, like it's got the lapels. It's a cross zip, right? It's not like this. This is like half belt where it's straight front zip, but
Right.
not a motorcycle jacket, right?
Yes.
That's like why I like the Hooch Hauler so much, right? Button cuffs instead, right?
Right. Right. And that's one of my favorite things about this jacket are the button cuffs. Just such a
Yeah.
cool. Oh my god! Like I love those things, man. The buttons. I don't. It just has that 1930s feel. Like, hey,
Mhm.
I'm hauling around that moonshine, and nothing's gonna stop me.
Oh, and it's actually funny how similar the jackets are that we're wearing in some ways because they're not the same
Yeah.
style exactly, but they're both a very similar color. You can see
Right.
how orangey kind of our jackets are right now,
Yes.
and they're both basically a russet reddish orange color, right?
Right.
And both veg tan and both 30 style. So
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. What brand is that again? You said
this is the Freewheelers Caboose,
the Caboose. Okay, that's
which
right.
they haven't made in a while now. I mean, I
Cool.
bought this one because it was my size and I really love them all. Like if I was gonna get a half belt, I wanted to get like the ultimate half belt. So to me, this was the ultimate half belt. The Badalassi is also very squeaky, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Oh my god.
Because I noticed that when you because you got up to walk a little bit earlier, and I could tell. And
Yes.
even this was a little bit at first, but it's gone away. Like I can move around now; it doesn't really squeak at all. Like I'm
Right.
moving my arms right now. and you can't really hear anything.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I don't know how much that goes with the Badalassi because unfortunately I haven't worn one of the jackets long enough because they never fit me. Both ones that I got in Badalassi did not fit me well enough to keep.
Oh man,
Sadly.
bad.
Yeah.
That is.
Sadly, that's been the case both times. Well, one other thing I wanted to ask you actually, because you're wearing a Badalassi jacket, because the Badalassi jackets, like they actually have a nice grain. Like the jacket leathers have a nice grain on them.
Yes. Yes.
In my experience, at least with what I saw, the grain that starts to develop on the boots does actually look kind of similar to the grain that is already present on the jackets. Is that, do you find the same experience? That
Yeah.
same sort of like, not super thin, but like a kind of a medium-sized grain, right?
Yes. Yes. 100%. There's one area of this jacket actually that I think I know what you're talking about. It's on this sleeve. I don't know if, again, my crappy camera. I'll actually take better pictures and overlap them over the video. But on this sleeve, right here, there's like some striations going this way. I don't know if you can see them, but
No, unfortunately, I can't really see it on the video. Not well, at least.
this thing's old. Sorry. Yeah, the resolution's no good. When it was brand new, it already came with some really cool like grain character because it wasn't 100% smooth. It definitely has a lot of character right out of the box, which is what I loved. As much as I love putting my own wear on this stuff, I also love it when it's like you could tell this used to be an animal sort of a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was an animal that lived a life, you know?
Well, yeah, and that's one of the things that I like about the Badalassi jacket leathers. I know it's not the main subject that we're talking about, but
yeah,
it has a less even grain than most cow hides do for jacket leathers.
okay,
And I don't know, you can compare that, like, because you also have Vicenza. I
yeah,
personally found the grain on my Badalassi cowhide jackets more interesting than the Vicenza jackets I had handled.
oh really?
At least in my experience, because I've actually tried a couple on. I've handled some of the Vicenza leather, and I personally found like at least my Arrow Badalassi jacket I had a more variable grain than even the Vicenzas that I tried on. Because the
Okay.
Vicenza, I don't know if yours is like this, but I've tried on 2 or 3 actually, and they are more. They're actually kind of not pebbly, but
Yeah,
they're a little bit pebbly. They're not as pebbly as like a goat skin would be, but I can't. They have a more even, consistent grain structure than like Shinky does, for example,
yes,
right? Whereas like
yeah.
Shinky and other horse hides are much more wild in terms of their grain. Well, actually, I can show you an example right here of my VIBERGs in Shinky, right?
Ooh, oh man,
These
that's
things are insane.
now I'm not about babying boots, but my recommendation: baby those things because those things are grail of grail boots. Those things
I
are
do
like,
actually baby those boots.
yeah,
I don't know if you ever saw this. This happened like when I first got them and I
yeah,
wore them somewhere and it started to rain and I
uh-huh,
literally put grocery store bags on my feet so I could walk to my car
yes,
so I wouldn't get watered on them. And I've never done that with any other boots and I would never do that with any other boots.
right,
But that leather is so good that I had to like do. I just felt like I had to
yeah,
do that. I did get some water spots on them before, and they're still there. You can actually
okay,
kind of still see it. It's not bad, but like it's
yeah,
noticeable. It is there. So yeah, these are definitely ones that I baby and they match. Yeah. And I usually am not a fan of low block heels. I'm almost always like a woodsman heel guy, as some people might know about me.
yes.
Um,
Wait, you've mentioned that before? I don't think you have.
everything else about them was such a perfect makeup. Even if I never got them, I would have said this is the most beautiful Viber makeup ever.
Oh,
But
clearly,
that's why I bought them. I bought them because they were such a perfect makeup. I think to get us back onto subject, Badalassi cowhide is a great way to get into vegetable tan leathers, especially if you're used to chrome tan leathers previously. You've only owned Red Wing before, or you've only had Chrome Excel, which is I know combination tan, but still, if that's what you've had before, and you're kind of nervous about trying a veg tan because to
yes,
me that's weird because I love veg tan from the beginning, right? I've
right,
always gone veg tan first, but the more I've learned, I can understand why some people are more nervous about trying veg tan the same way people are nervous about trying unsanforized jeans, right? Which for me, again, same thing. Like as soon as I learned the difference, I
yeah,
was unsanforized the whole way. But again, I can understand why people are nervous about unsanforized. I think that if you are nervous about like the more extreme aging properties of vegetable tan leather, or how much stiffer it's supposed to be in general it is than chrome tan or all that sort of thing. I think
Right.
Badalassi is a great way to get into it. It has a good amount of grain, but it's not insane. The grain will develop over time as well, so it kind of eases you into it. It starts off smooth, but
Right.
it becomes grainier over time. So you kind of, like I said, eases you into it. You get used to it, right? It will darken and age, and you'll get the spots, but they kind of disappear a little bit over time. And as you condition them, it'll kind of, you can condition over them a little bit, but it still
Right.
gives you like the actual lasting like marks and things like that, and the lasting leather color changes and all of that comes along with veg tan as well. And it's not quite a fully natural, in which those are really extreme. Like if you get
Yeah.
water on those,
Right.
it's going
Right.
to be a long time before it goes away, right? So
That's
that's
true.
why I said this, like especially in this color, this kind of cognac saddle tan color is a good intro color, a good intro leather to vegetable tan leather if you've never tried it before, right? I think that's
I agree.
why one of the most appealing things about it. And even if you're crazy leather enthusiasts like both of us, who have had a lot of different boots and a lot in different leather jackets and a lot of different leather,
Yeah.
it's still an enthusiast grade leather as well. I do think that Badalassi is one of the highest quality leathers out there. I do think it's one of, in my opinion, it's one of the best. And I still find it super interesting. So I think that's one of the things that makes it great, is like it can help ease you in if you're new. But
Yeah.
if you're an enthusiast, like you've had all the leathers and you haven't tried Badalassi yet, you will still enjoy it, I think, as well.
That
And I
is a
know, like, I'm really singing its praises, but I really don't have any bad things to say about it in terms of a cowhide. The
right.
only thing I would say is like, for horsehide, I like that in general horsehide will have like an even more variable or variated grain.
Right.
That's the only big difference, but it's not going to have that because it's cowhide, right? That's like literally the only thing I personally can complain about.
Exactly. I think you're so right about that. Like, I think Chrome Excel, that was my first leather love. So I'll always have like a soft spot for it because I mean, it pulls you in when you smell it and when you touch it for the first time. What it really comes down to is it really is an everyman's leather, if you want to think of it like that. It's a great starter leather. But ultimately, I will admit, and I'll fully admit this, like, I will always love Chrome Excel, but after listening to your insights and after delving into some other knowledge about leather that maybe I wouldn't have otherwise noticed, I'm starting to, I don't want to say get bored with Chrome Excel, but I kind of feel like I understand it already. And like, I still love it. Like, it used to really intrigue the shit out of me. Like, I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen when when I scratch it? What's going to happen when I crease it? Oh, look at that. The pull up. Oh, that's so cool. The line that you create, it goes away after like 15 minutes because the oils reabsorb back in that area. That's really cool. And like I said, it's a fantastic leather. I think it's an every man's leather. But there's more interesting stuff out there. And I think variety is the spice of life. And so, if we want to keep our enthusiasm high, I think it's worth it to try out some of these others, like the Badalassi, like you're saying. And yeah, it's the best smelling leather I've ever smelled. Like, this whole room just smells amazing right now because of this jacket. This jacket smells
It
so
really does. Yeah, I mean, I always thought that Shinky was by far the best smelling leather. Then I started smelling Badalassi. It's like, ooh,
yeah.
really close between the two. Honestly, I personally can't even pick. I like the
Right.
smell of both of those two so much that, at
Yeah.
least in terms of the smell, I can't choose. I think they both smell amazing.
That's true.
That's always the thing I find funny, is like when, and I guess this is a little bit like kind of snobbish of me to say, but
Oh,
like
go for it.
when people say like, oh yeah, Chrome Excel smells amazing, I'm like, yes, but do you have time to talk about our Lord and Savior Shinky and Badalassi? Like, have you smelled either of those yet? You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, if
Right.
you haven't smelled that, if you smelled both of those and you,
Yeah,
or one of those, and you smell Chrome Excel and you like the smell of Chrome Excel, okay, fine, cool. But if you
exactly.
like haven't, if you've only smelled Chrome Excel and you haven't smelled either of those yet,
Oh man.
you ain't smelled nothing yet.
Agreed. There is something like holy about this. Oh my God, I can't even put my finger on it. But yeah, there's something divine about the smell of Badalassi. And what's difficult about it too is you can't compare leather smells to one another because unless you've tried it and been around it in person, there's not, like, I can't say, oh, this smells like cedar, oh, this smells like rosemary. No, there's no example I could give you to indicate what this leather smells like. You just have to smell it yourself.
It doesn't even smell like what a lot of people think leather smells like, because a lot of people, when they think of leather smells, and I know this because this is the way fragrance companies and perfume companies do it every single time, is they
Yeah.
always make leather smell like car leather.
Right, right.
And it's like, that's not what leather smells like to me, right?
Right.
It's like, have none of these perfumers ever smelled like Shinky or Badalassi? Because if they made a fragrance that smelled like that, I would buy that in a second. But like every time you smell like a quote unquote leather scent, they always make it smell like a BMW or a Mercedes. I'm like,
Yeah.
that doesn't smell as good.
And you're coming from experience too, and I could validate this too. Like there is nothing like the smell of this. Like I said, I can't even pick out a flavor or a scent that would even come close to doing this justice. Like I can't
It's
come up
very
with,
complex.
yes, it's extremely complex. And the tanneries that have been doing this, they've been doing this for decades, if not hundreds of years. So like they're,
Mhm.
and that process is secret too. So it's like good luck trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm not a chemist, so there's no way I could even begin. But I did have one question I wanted to ask you. Would it be acceptable if we began referring to Badalassi leather as badassly leather?
I don't know. I'm not that. I guess I'm kind of punny,
Yeah,
but I think part of the reason is like to me, Badalassi already sounds really cool.
it does.
Like
Yeah,
that tannery name already sounds kind of awesome, and it
yes, it
sounds
does.
similar enough to badass that
Yeah.
like it's implied. You know what I mean? It doesn't need to be said, right?
That's a fantastic point. It is implied. There's no need to alter the the structure of the word to further drive that point home. I think I think just by handling it, it's like, yep, this has
Mhm.
earned its name, Badalassi.
Yeah, I just always liked and like because the full name is Badalassi Carlo, and I'm like that just sounds awesome. Like
Yeah, it
you know
does.
what I mean? Like or like Carlo Badalassi, like that guy sounds like he drives a Lamborghini and wears cool sunglasses. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
absolutely, easily the most interesting man in the world.
That sounds like that's the most interesting man in the world's name,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, for sure,
So
for sure. Yeah, it would be the Italian old man version of the most interesting man in the
yeah,
world.
exactly. So I don't know. That's kind of my thought on it. Is like it
Yeah,
doesn't need to like have a nickname because it should like Shinky doesn't have a nickname. Like you don't need a nickname when you are what you are, right? It's
that's
like when Shaun White tried to change his nickname.
oh
Like
yeah,
you know what
right,
I mean?
right.
Don't force it, man. You know what I
Yeah, don't
mean?
force it.
Just-
If it's working, then keep it. You know,
yeah.
if it's working for you, why change something that works? You know, um,
I
and
mean,
then
you can always call it like Badass Badalassi or something like that. But I don't know. I
that's
just think Badalassi's name, like it speaks for it. Should I think enough people are starting to use it and get used to it and see it. Like now the Arrow have it,
right.
and Grant Stone is starting to use it, right? And
Yeah,
so I think, and Onderhood, I believe Onderhood has it as well now as an
right.
option. So a lot
Yeah,
more boot makers and jacket makers are using this amazing leather, and people are starting to notice it more. So I
that
think I'm hoping like with Shinky, it just the name alone is enough, right? Like with Chrome XL, right? Chrome XL doesn't really have a nickname either.
that's
It's just
true.
either written as CXL, but nobody says it that way. Everybody says Chrome XL, right?
Yeah,
Chrome
that's
XL
true.
speaks for itself. Like it doesn't need a name, right? It doesn't need
Right,
it
right.
doesn't be like, I'm hoping people just see Badalassi or hear the name Badalassi, like, oh, cool. Somebody using Badalassi. Awesome. I'm
Yeah,
interested, right? I'm automatically intrigued
agreed.
because of the name.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. As we should be. Speaking of and Grant Stone running Badalassi, I don't know if you saw their new drop. It just dropped, I think, 2 days ago. Their new brass boot. Have you seen
yep,
that?
I did see that.
Okay, okay. And they have them in the Crimson Chrome XL, the Black Chrome XL, and the Saddle Tan Badalassi.
Hmm.
So I don't have to ask you your preference between those
Well, the
three.
problem for me is that the Saddle Tan Badalassi is on a wedge sole.
Oh, right, right. You and Ticho are of that same mindset where neither of you like the wedge.
I hate wedge soles so much. I just
Yeah,
like if you want something that looks like and feels like a sneaker, buy a sneaker.
right, right.
I'm
And
not saying there aren't good reasons to use a wedge sole. I'm just like,
yeah,
for me, it's all about like looks wise. I don't think they look good and comfort wise. And this is even backed up like by the way they're made a lot of the time is I personally prefer having a lot of leather between my feet and the ground. Leather really conforms to your foot. There's a lot of support, right?
the leather sole has become my favorite sole this past year. 100%. Like it is so much more supportive. It flexes so naturally with the foot. It just feels like an organic experience, really. The leather sole is the most comfortable damn sole you could have on your foot. And yeah, having stacked leather, oh, there's nothing better than that. I mean,
Mhm.
leather soles get a bad rap, but
They do actually.
yeah,
That man, we need to talk about add that to our other conversation
yeah,
topic list, right?
Let's do
because
it.
I think I've seen you getting more into the leather soles, and you're on the East Coast even as well, right?
Oh yeah.
So a lot of people are like they hate leather soles. It's so funny because like in the dress shoe world,
Yeah.
because I've dabbled in that enough to know they despise rubber soles overall. They
Right.
hate them. They don't think there should be rubber soles on anything. They think leather, or at least in general, and people, somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, right? That knows more about this scene than I do. So I'm not saying I'm an expert on that scene or that's, but I've dabbled and I've gone on forums and seen like the conversations about dress shoes and dress boots. Those dudes overall are like leather soles or death,
Right.
right? A lot of them are, at
Right.
least. Like not
Mhm.
everybody, but that seems to be the general consensus I've seen. In
Yeah.
this scene, it's like people hate leather soles. So like they're
Right.
not practical at all. They're so slippery and they suck and they're terrible in any weather and blah blah blah. Like people like will not buy a pair of boots with leather soles on.
That's
It
true.
is, which is wild to me because I love leather soles too. I really
Yeah.
do. I think they feel fantastic. I do think they look better.
Yes.
And in fairness, I mean, the most recent pair of leather soles I have are the VIBERGs, which are infamously slippery.
Right.
And in fairness, that is true. Last time I wore these on, like, back when we actually were allowed to go to malls and stuff like that, and
Oh
I
yeah.
actually went to a mall, I
I
was
forgot what a
slipping.
mall
I
is.
was like on a slip and slide, man. I could have,
Yeah.
they were very slippery on that
Right.
surface. But also, the Viberg ones for some reason are more slippery than average. And
Yeah.
as soon as you start scuffing them up, man, leather soles, they do feel awesome and they look
Yes.
great. And there's a lot of benefits in that people don't admit. And you
Right.
can do a lot more with them than you think you can, right? I mean, they're not going to do the same thing that like a true like Vibram 100 lug can do. But let's be honest, like if you're walking through the dirt in a day night or like a Vibram 700,
Yeah.
is there really, there's not that much more, like, this is not going to be any grippier in dirt,
No.
I
Not at
think,
all.
honestly, than a leather sole. And I've worn leather soles in dirt, and in that case, it does not make a difference. Now, would this be grippier probably like in ice or something like that? Yeah, probably. I'm sure it would be. But even
Yeah.
this in ice is not the grippiest. Like you need something different if you're really wearing, in that extreme of conditions, you'd be wearing something completely different anyway. I don't know. I think in
100%.
most situations, once you scuff up a leather sole, I don't think it's that much different. And also, in my experience, day night soles, not that grippy. I think day night
Yeah.
soles are actually pretty slippery, and I don't understand the hype behind day night. I
I've
really
slipped so
don't.
many
Like,
times on ice in day night. I slip. You know what? If the ice is really slick, it doesn't matter what sole you're on. It doesn't
yes.
matter. It doesn't matter at all. Like rubber will slip just like a commando sole with those big teeth. The
Mhm.
lug commando sole. Those slip all over the ice. Like I've
Yep.
I've slipped so many times in the ice up here. And actually, I've found that I think you're 100% right. I don't think it depends so much on the sole as your balance. And if you're grounded enough in your boot, like I walked the other day. We had a really bad snowstorm, and I actually walked. I didn't prepare well. I wore my Grant Stone diesel boots in storm kudu on the leather sole, and I walked probably 2 miles through slush and snow, and I didn't slip once. And that's a leather sole. People
Exactly.
think you're gonna slip in it. I didn't slip a single time. So that leads me to my next point. I think I've had this idea that I was gonna do a video here soon about why I love leather soles the most, and so we should actually do that together, I think.
I'm
So,
down. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I don't have a lot right now, but I like them, and I think some
yeah,
of the boots when I start resoling, I might put some more of them on leather soles for sure. I think is
yeah,
probably going to happen, and I've had a lot more leather soles in the past. Also,
yeah.
may I point out that cowboys wear leather soles?
That's true. Yeah, Cowboys, the roughest of the rough. Hello.
I mean, I know they're sitting in their saddles a lot, but they also do have to walk around on like farms and dirt and
Yeah,
mud and stuff like that. If you're in that extreme of conditions, it's really not that much of a difference. Like if you're in mud or like serious dirt,
yeah.
it's all I think at that point is basically the same.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love all the points you made, and I think that if you were to come on with me and Dave for a real boot talk, it would be absolutely legendary, to say the least. So
Yeah, it'd be fun for sure.
yeah, definitely. But yeah, man. Hey, this has been fun. I don't have anything else for now. Did you have anything else that you wanted to
I think
drop?
I way too much already. I'm sorry. You got to edit a lot of this already. I'm sure. I'm sorry.
Oh, that is okay. This has been a wonderful talk, a fascinating talk. You're a brilliant guy. You have so many great insights, and I'd love to pick your brain a dozen more times after this. Because I think together we really extrapolate on the whole boot thing well. And
I think so. Yeah.
yeah,
No,
you-
for sure. I'm down. You can. Yeah. Be
sounds
happy to
like,
come
yeah,
back
brother.
anytime. So.
All right, awesome. Let's make it happen. All right, man. Well, hey, thanks again so much for coming on, and we will have you on next time, my friend.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right, have a good night.